Hey YouTube, welcome to another episode of News in 2 Minutes, bringing you the news that you need to know every day. Let's begin. Citizens in Egypt are bracing for bloodshed this weekend with opposing calls for protests that will send Egyptians back into the streets in near-record numbers. The people of Egypt have been sharply split since the June revolution that sent millions of citizens into the streets calling for the deposition of then-President Mohamed Morsi. Since that time, members of the Muslim Brotherhood have called for continued demonstrations and have succeeded in small but reportedly violent protests. Now the Egyptian army has countered the call for protests, demanding that the citizens of Egypt return to the streets to show that this was the choice of the Egyptian people and not the military's decision. That calling is expected to draw hundreds of thousands of opposing protesters, some of which could already be seen on Thursday, openly carrying guns through the streets, after leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood called for civil war if the military uses lethal force against its followers. Parts of a national forest in California have been closed after a routine inspection found that at least one creature in the area is infected with the bubonic plague. Syrian opposition leaders seen here in New York on Thursday have requested that America quicken its commitment to the uprising by sending advanced weapons to the Free Syrian Army as soon as possible. U.S. health officials are still seeking the cause of nearly 300 viral infections of cyclospora throughout 11 states, with new infections being documented every day. A recent neurological study may explain documented cases where people, including suspected killers, insist that they remember events that have never taken place. According to the study, researchers at MIT have proven that they can successfully implant false memories by manipulating individual neurons within the brains of test subjects in a process known as optogenetics. Scientists are blaming a number of recent floods on atmospheric rivers, which are bands of concentrated moisture within the atmosphere that sometimes measure up to 1,000 miles in length and can carry as much as 300,000 tons of moisture. The scientists go on to say that with increasing global temperatures, we can expect larger atmospheric rivers and more widespread flooding in the future. And to wrap things up, all flights to and from Tunisia have been canceled after an opposition leader was gunned down in front of his home, sending thousands of protesters into the streets. Underground pressure and a series of other events have caused at least 4 Cold Lake oil spills in Canada, and a 5.0 in New Zealand wraps up a relatively quiet day in today's Quake Watch. And that's it for this episode of News in 2 Minutes. Check back tomorrow for more news that the aware need the most. This week's News in 2 Minutes is brought to you by SHTFplan.com, where even the officials go for news, and SQmetals.com for all your precious metal needs.